The final session of day one of the 69th Macau Grand Prix brings back to the circuit the sights and sounds of GT3 machinery as the Galaxy Entertainment Macau GT Cup competitors head back onto the circuit. This is FP2. This is a perfect way to round out the day. Eduardo Mortara with the Audi was fastest in the earlier session. He did a 2:19.8. That is the target. The entry is 16 strong, but it's a quality entry. Of that, there is no doubt. You've got some of the local heroes up against some of the international stars, like Eduardo Mortara, like Mauro Engel, like Raffaele Marciello, like Alexandre Imperatori. And this is going to be a really good race, that's for sure, on Saturday and Sunday. The two elements, the qualifying race, the main race. But of course, we've got to get through practice and qualifying first as well. And these are mighty bits of kit that are, in some ways, ill-suited to Macau because they can't really stretch their legs, but my, are they spectacular around here.
You have to tame them. That's what you have to do. You have to tame them. And the first free practice session that we had for the GT cars was the first time that we got to see the return of some really big names in world GT racing, and it's great to have them back, and experts around Macau as well, such as Eduardo Mortara, such as Raffaele Marciello, such as Mauro Engel as well.
And Darrell O'Young, who has had 2 wins in the GT Cup.
And
Alexandre Imperatori.
Thank you.
More specialist, and also add Adderley Fong, because he was quick this morning and he's another experienced driver, and actually one that we didn't really touch on this morning, but is competitive always. It's Frankie Cheng.
Yep.
That you might remember from Formula Renault UK days, but he's driven pretty much everything anywhere ever since, and was last year's China GT champion. So #1 Audi of Chen Kongfu, Frankie Cheng, another one to watch.
Should I have started that list by saying in no particular order?
Well, possibly so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because these are world-class drivers.
And it's great to have, as you say, that international theme back in the Galaxy Entertainment Macau GT Cup. 2 GT grids, just like we've got 2 touring car grids. Touring cars that are the same spec. These are GT3 and the others are GT4 specification of car. 88 there is Chan Chen Shan, the Macau Road Sports and GT Cup regular. Mauro Engel's Mercedes will be one to watch. There again is Chan Chen Shan coming towards us. 33 backing off in the background is Andy Zhang. And through there goes Liu Qiren in the Lamborghini Huracan, another fantastic looking and sounding GT3 car, the Lamborghini. And that's a brand that really has rallied in the last few years when Lamborghini decided that really it ought to embrace motorsport once again. It established Lamborghini Squadra Corsa. It's an in-house competitions department run by former racer Giorgio Sana. It has raised the level of Super Trofeo in Europe, in North America and in Asia, back next year after its hiatus. And in terms of a GT program, now hypercar as well for WEC from 2024, the Lamborghini brand is absolutely booming.
We were following Chan Chen Shang around in his Mercedes, and now I fancy we're going to be following Mauro Engel around the circuit.
Until we see that car at Lisbon yellow flag, and that is Orwei Hua, regular GT racer in China.
Is that deja vu? Did we see that at the start of FP1?
He was in the tyres in FP1,
That's right.
wasn't he? Brought out a red flag.
He was, yeah.
So there you've got 77. That is Mauro Engel then, who is the first out. He'll be the first one to do a lap time.
Was quickest on the out lap. Not that that means anything in particular, but around Donna Maria, down towards the Melco hairpin. It's quite incredible how quickly they managed to get these big GT3 cars around that hairpin. Super stuff. And then they can open it up. And that's exactly what happens down through Black Sands, down to Fisherman's. The final turn of the circuit, our bend. Through Fisherman's. So when the circuit really opens up and the speed opens up as well. Our bend, the final turn on the gear circuit at Macau. And Mauro Engel puts in a 2:22.206, and Alexandre Imperatori goes quicker to 21 4:15. Top of the times for Imperatori, number 11 in the Porsche.
And we got 2:19s, didn't we, in the earlier session? So once the fuel load comes down a bit, once the tyres get warmer, then they're going to go even faster. So Mauro Engel hammers down towards Lisboa, sits in the middle of the road, then moves the car across, ready to take the apex for the corner in the bright pink BVT crash helmet that he wears these days. And Mauro Engel, who just slots into any Mercedes going for any team and delivers, knows the car inside out, and now sets off in pursuit in this sector of not Alexandre Emmanuel, but Alexandre Imperatori. We'll forget his middle name for the moment, but that's the target, Alexandre Imperatori.
And there's never any drama associated with these top-class, world-class drivers. What am I driving? Where am I driving it? Thank you very much indeed. And they turn up, they do the job, and they go home.
Absolute best middle sector from Mauro Engel, who is not somebody you often see making mistakes either. He's another ultra-fast, ultra-consistent driver, is Mauro. And as I say, he knows these cars like the back of his hand. Down towards Police, then up towards Moorish. So narrow, this section of the circuit, but the Mercedes copes with it, and the bumps, avoids the tyres. Takes the line up the hill towards Donna Maria. Engel drops it down through the gears, turns in, can't see what's around the corner. Only now does he get a proper view as he squirts it out the other side, and up the road there is Eduardo Mortara. I know I keep going on about the sounds, but there's something of free noise because everything is that little bit louder, and with pro drivers everything is that little bit more urgent. There's an aggression to them, you know, gear changes, certainly on the downshift, they're aggressive.
And the beauty of a street circuit, you've got the natural resonance, and you've got the barriers either side, metallic, they echo the sound back.
Yeah.
You can go many, many miles away from this circuit and hear the cars. And a glorious sound they make. Top of the times, Darrell Young, 2:19.777 for Young. It's gone well today.
Yes,
really well.
That's quicker than we had this morning by a 10th, isn't it? So it's a good effort that by Darrell. From Imperatori, from Engel, Marciello goes fourth. This man, Edo Martora, is fifth fastest. And now, as he breaks the beam, he's looking to try to find half a second to get up with Marciello. There, the multicoloured Audi up the road is Adley Fong, former Formula 3 racer, the Uno Racing Audi. And that's Mortara just ahead of Marciello. Audi versus Mercedes.
So, Darrell Young, top of the times, car number 55. The Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes, 2:19.777.
Listen to the noise as they howl past us. Tell me that noise doesn't affect motor racing.
Noise affects motor racing.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So Darrell Young the fastest, and let's see whether he can go better. Well, he can't in the first sector. The Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes AMG GT3 accelerates through the Solitude S's. Over the brow, drop down the hill. I haven't really touched on this, but I know we've been saying it's a street circuit and it has its bumps and everything else, but there's also, of course, a huge amount of paint that's put down, whether it's for road markings or car parking spaces, and all of those have an effect as well as they get rubbered in.
Over the course of today, you can see how the circuit rubbers in, and that's only going to grow as the weekend goes on and get quicker and quicker. Down towards the Melco hairpin for the 55 car of Darrell Young, through the hairpin. Now the circuit opens up and the power eased in. It's the Porsche, the car of Alexandre Imperatori, and Toro Racing Porsche.
He's backed out of this lap, I think, hasn't he? So he's going to let people go. But Imperatori, who's made a real name for himself in this region, he came from Formula 3 and A1GP into Carrera Cup Asia. He was the 2012 champion. He's raced in WEC, he's raced in the Nürburgring 24 Hours, in World Challenge Asia. But, you know, with drives in Europe harder to come by, he's one of many that's made a base, made a name, made a reputation and a career and a good living in this region.
Certainly has, and that is pretty close to one of Porsche's special colours available for the current 911, because we had one as an exhibition car, if you like, a show car, at one of the rounds of the British Touring Car Championship. Spectacular colour, and it shows off the car beautifully. So Imperatori will stay with him, car number 11. Toro Racing Run car that, and Daryl Young into pit lane.
Yeah, he's done for the moment, hasn't he? Imperatori again has got the road to himself, so this is a good lap. Enormous looking car as it hustles its way between the walls. But again, isn't it a joy to watch pro drivers at the top of their craft doing this?
It absolutely is. Yeah, I sort of did a little gleeful jump in the air when I realised that the old favourite drivers from Macau were going to make a return this year, and all of a sudden Macau felt a lot more like normal this year. Super. We are so lucky to see these drivers.
And I think it surprised many of their peers. 2 weeks ago, I was at a Lamborghini event talking to Mirko Bortolotti, and he said, Mortara's going to Macau, with a really puzzled expression.
Really?
Really? Is he? And we looked on Mirko's phone, and he found the piece that he discovered it on, and yeah, there it was. And since then, you know, here's Rafael Engel. So the GT grid has grown numerically and in strength as well.
I think possibly the more surprising thing was that they found out they had to stay away, because they would have rather disliked it, I think, to think that the event was going on for the last 2 years and they weren't here.
Yeah. Yeah, there is something about this place that just draws people back year after year after year. So Raffaele Marciello, normally a very, very quick qualifier. I know this isn't qualifying, but go with me. He is not yet improving in sectors, so good laps being done early. Imperatori at the top of the times, though, now in the Porsche. He has now done a 2:19.603. Marciello will break the B, but a 2:23 maybe? Yeah, 23.8 in fact, so a good chunk slower than he wants to be.
Has gone third, Marciello fourth, Engel fifth, Fong in sixth. This is a great lineup this year. We're in for such a treat.
Yeah, it's just the right number, if you like, to make it a really good close. The regulars, the local drivers, being completely overshadowed.
It's like a really exclusive club this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're in for a treat tomorrow. Qualifying day tomorrow. 2 qualifying sessions for all of our car races. Looking at the car currently on top of the times, a 2:19.6 for Imperatori. That glorious looking Porsche.
And although you can see the origin of the 911 in that, haven't we got big over the years? I mean, they are mighty, mighty cars.
And the current 911 is my favourite Porsche shape look ever.
Still hustling on, but he's dropped time now in sectors 1 and 2. So there's no improvement coming, I don't think, on this lap. Back into the power. Runs down towards the Melco hairpin, but what have we got? 11 minutes. I can't see any improvement coming on this lap. What I find interesting, Alan, and it might be that he's been here more recently. Scrap that. I'll tell you instead that Mauro Engel has gone fastest. I was about to say Daryl Young, the best of the Mercedes drivers, but not anymore. Mauro Engel has now gone top, 2:19.229. But Raffaele Marciello only 5th, which does surprise me.
Yeah, and don't necessarily expect that to remain that way over the course of 4 days here at Macau. Imperatori is 2nd, Mortara is 3rd, Young is 4th, Marciello is 5th, and Can Ling completes the top 6.
And that is Frankie Cheng you're looking at, and he is 8th behind Adderley Fong. So Cheng gone through. Frankie Cheng's got to find 2 seconds really to be up in the business end of all of this. So the Mercedes of Darrell Young rumbles its way around Donna Maria and then squirts along the top of the circuit down towards the Melco hairpin, down to first gear for the hairpin turn in. And then back on the power, and it almost struggles, doesn't it, to catch, and it drops down the hill.
Hearing the power feed in is a glorious sound. And isn't it lovely to watch a session that they can get into their rhythm, get into their flow,
yes.
lap after lap.
That said, we've had some drama in GT cars over the years, whether it's been track blockages or Lawrence Vanthor looking at the world from a different vantage point, upside down.
That was, yes, quite unique.
And still winning a race, yes.
Quite unique. We're looking at Darrell Young, Hong Kong driver in the Craft Bamboo Mercedes.
Race winner last year.
All.
Oof, look at the bumps.
I know.
That gives you an idea, doesn't it? At
It
this
does.
speed of the sparks fly.
See the sparks, yeah.
Just what they're up against. And at that speed as well.
That's so impressive.
Move across to get the apex of the corner. Again, inches away, millimetres away, really, from the barriers. And now up San Francisco Hill.
Closer to sunset here at Macau. Bit of cloud cover has come over, and therefore not the sunshine we've had during the day so far. Maybe that's assisting us to see those sparks flying, but they are pretty impressive.
Yeah. So Darrell Young now is down to 4th in the times, and up to 2nd has just gone Eduardo Mortara.
Does 2:19, 2:55 for Eduardo Mortara. Marciello goes 3rd. That's a 2:19, 4:40.
So it's Mercedes, Audi, Mercedes, Porsche, Mercedes, Audi, Lamborghini 7th, and then 8th fastest now is 51 David Chen with the sole Ferrari. So a good mix of cars out there.
A great mix of cars with our race winner from last year, Darrell Young, against all odds last year. A win for Darrell Young. It was one of those stories that emerged over the course of the race weekend that could have been a Hollywood film. Superb stuff. And has just gone purple in sector 3 as Darrell Young.
But a lock up there, and that sends him offline, and he just avoids the wall, but only just, yeah.
Goodness me.
But that's all it takes, isn't it? One tiny little error under braking, and suddenly everything becomes a bit scary.
It does. Let's see what that final sector is going to be. He was personal best in sector 2, and it got to 3 in sector 4 rather. Purple in sector 3 for Darrell Young on that last lap.
That's Mortara in the Audi, and he's done an absolute best in the 2nd sector. Through Donna Maria he comes now. With only 16 cars, it's easier to buy clear track space in this session, but Mortara now down to the hairpin, turns through, and is that Frankie Cheng behind going deep, Adderley Fong next, so the Audis turn through, and we've only got now really 6 minutes of the session still to go.
We have, so 5 minutes and 50 left on the clock. Eduardo Mortara, car number 10, the Audi. Currently 2nd in free practice. Actually, I've just remembered, this is free practice. It feels ultra competitive, doesn't it? It really does. They certainly know how to put on a show, don't they? Mortara goes top. Mortara, top of the times, a 2:18.791. So Eduardo Mortara, top of the times, known affectionately as Mr. Macau here at the Gear Circuit. And Eduardo Mortara in the Audi goes top, 2:18.791. Mauro Engel just out of pit lane is 2nd. Marciello is 3rd. Imperatori, Porsche. So Audi, Mercedes, Mercedes and Porsche, the top 4. Under 5 minutes of this second free practice session remain. '77 Maro Engel car turning through the Melco hairpin very slowly. We saw that earlier on, didn't we, in free practice 1, where we almost assumed there was something wrong with the car. It was approaching the Melco hairpin so slowly. However, the power then built up. This is an outlap from pit lane, building up a little bit of speed.
For 1, maybe 2 flying laps before the end, because he's got less than 4 minutes left, so there'll be time for 2.
There'll be time for 2, yeah.
But this is going to have to be a real launch, isn't it now? Into the last corner, into our bend. This is a full send from Engel. Onto the power. Break the beam now. Go for it.
Worth watching this if we stay with it. Sparks flying for Maro Engel. Currently second in the times, 2:19.229. The time so far on the board for Maro Engel, a 2:18.791. So approaching half a second between the top two, Mortara and Engel.
The car skims the ground with that front splitter over the bumps out of Lisboa now, and flicks the car right to climb San Francisco Hill around that right-hander that then brings you up the hill itself. Over the brow he comes. And this is where Engel has got to be in a good rhythm, but he's got to be absolutely inch perfect. Keep it away from anything solid. Do not run wide. Do not miss a braking point.
Down on sector 1.
And this in replay, going into reservoir with the car bouncing and sparking. So how's he doing? He's down in sector 2 as well.
Yeah.
So it might be...
He's got one more lap.
Yeah, one that might do it for him, because everything will be up to temperature again by then.
It certainly will be after this lap.
Yeah. But it's fascinating, isn't it? The commitment being put in, and as you made the point a little while ago, it's only free practice.
It is. But my goodness, these drivers are at the top of their game, aren't they?
Absolutely.
So wonderful to watch this. Around Donna Maria, out of Donna Maria, drop down to the Melco hairpin. No problems about slow entry that time. Very neatly through the Melco hairpin, which will set Maro Engel up for this one final opportunity of a lap in free practice. It will mean, essentially, not a great deal at the end of free practice 1. I'm sure there is more than a slither of pride involved in being at the top of the times. Eduardo Mortara currently has that honour.
And right now he's in an Audi R8 battle, isn't he? We've had, of course, the R8 LMS Cup in China for many, many years. But there's an unofficial round of it going on here, because 3 of the R8s have got themselves together. Mortara, Cheng and Fong. In fact, there's a 4th one just up the road there, the car that was in strife at the start of the session, number 5 of Orwei Hua. Right, so Mortara is going to be on. Comes through. And the former DTM racer breaks the beam. He's the fastest, and 2 minutes 18.791 is the time. A little bit quicker than they went in the earlier session, but we're about half a minute away from the flag coming out.
And we're not getting the graphic of Maro Engel's split times, so at the moment we don't know quite what Maro is on course for on this final opportunity. We're focusing on the car which is currently top, 2:18.791 for Eduardo Mortara. That last lap, 2:23.6. There's going to be traffic on this lap for Mortara as well. Raffaele Marciello, Alexandre Imperatori 4th, Darrow Young 5th, Adley Fong completes the top 6.
Right, flag out, and I'm not sure we're going to get too many improvements, if any, late in the session, but it's worth keeping an eye. Oh, no, Mortara now does get himself stuck there, doesn't he, behind the similar Audi of Orange Park. So the flag goes out, end of the day, end of the session. But that was a really good way to round out the day, for my money.
It really was, yeah. High-octane action right at the end of the day. World-class drivers on a world-class stage in world-class machinery. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, GT3 has been an absolute storming success since it was introduced by Stefan Rassel.
Spectacular cars, really spectacular.
And so many GT3 cars racing around the world, whether it's in mainstream championships or club level.
Imperatori goes top, a 2:18.7. Imperatori in the Porsche, top of the times, 2:18.7.
Which is a very, very good effort indeed, is it not? To be 31 thousandths quicker than this man, who comes out of Fisherman's then down towards our bend. He's going to stay out by the look of it and see whether he can wring the neck of the car just enough to go back to the top. He brakes, he turns right, sets the car up for that long right-hander of our bend. Towards the line he comes, and he breaks the beam now, and Mortara's time is not good enough. He stays second fastest.
He does. Checkered flag on the final free practice session of the day. 2 for all of our categories of car racing today. And you're quite right, David, that's a brilliant way to finish the day, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's one of those sessions that leaves you wanting more, actually, because we've had a proper session with no silliness, apart from one little spin. Nobody doing anything to bring out an interruption. And you've watched, as I said during the session, drivers at the top of their game, making it look easy in state-of-the-art, proper, current GT cars.
We're lucky. It's a treat.
Yeah, exactly right.
All of the elements come together. The driver, machinery, and the circuit. Everything comes together. And we haven't even touched on the atmosphere around the Macau Grand Prix weekend. And it is like nothing else in the world. Alexandra Imperatori, top of the times. Car number 11, a 2:18.760.
And if he could put one over the Marciellos and Engels here, that would do his reputation no harm whatsoever.
I should say.
I think he's well regarded in Europe, but doesn't do that many races. Does Spa, does the Nürburgring 24 hours, does WEC as well. Perhaps gets overlooked a little bit, which is wrong.
Oh, the sound as they accelerate out of Macau Hairpin is something to savour, isn't it?
It is, absolutely right. And because it's such a fast circuit, Macau, the cars are always loud because they're always accelerating on full noise. Right, I think Imperatori may slacken it off and come to the pit lane this time rather than take the flag, which he will do. So a great job in that session. Alexandra Imperatori, it is then that's the fastest. And only by 31 thousandths of a second, but even so, the top time in FP2. And as the temperatures have started to drop, so we've gone quicker in this session. Edo Mortara then ends up second, 31 thousandths shy, but proving that very definitely it's going to be a good fight between Imperatori, Mortara, Engel, Marciello and Ouyang, with Adli Fong, Ling Kang and Frankie Cheng all in the mix as well. So Alexandra Imperatori it is that rounds out the day fastest then, with Edo Mortara 31 thousandths of a second slower. It is Porsche from Audi, from Mercedes, Mauro Engel third ahead of Raffaele Marciello, then another Mercedes, Darrell Young from Adli Fong's Audi, Kang Ling seventh from Chen Weian, then Frankie Cheng ninth, and Chang Shen Shang rounds out the top 10. Tomorrow we'll start bright and early, 7:30, sorry, tell you a lie, this is 7:30 local time for motorbike action. The first car activity tomorrow is 8:20, and that will be the Road Sport Challenge. But for now, as we have a look back at the best bits of the GT Cup Free Practice 2 for today, from David Addison and Alan Hyde, it's goodbye.